Hi, everyone. Welcome to Cupixel Studio and welcome to our Learn with Michael's card making class. My name is Haley and I am so excited to introduce you to Cupixel Smart Trace and give you a glimpse of all the personalized things that you can create with this tracing technology. So before we even get started, I'd like to invite you all to download the Cupixel app. You can find it on the Google Play or the iOS App Store. So if you want to just take some time now to download the app, if you haven't already, please feel free to do so. And we do have a promo code for you to explore the app for 14 days, have access to absolutely everything. But what we're going to be doing today, you will not need to do all that now. You can use this promo code later after this class. You will not need it for what we're going to be doing for this project today. So we are going to be making, as we said, a holiday card, except we're going to be kind of making it for Thanksgiving in the spirit of showing people our appreciation, how grateful and thankful we are for them. So, of course, everything that we're going to go over, all of the technical and creative things, you can apply it to making more of a holiday card for the holiday season. But for materials, what we're going to be using, I'm sure you're wondering why I have a cup in front of me. We'll get into that in a second, as well as this device stand. These will be used for the tracing technology. So if you don't have the Cupixel device stand, you can just grab a tall cup or just something that you can elevate your phone on flat. By the way, if you stick with your free trial, or if you oh my goodness, my words. If you renew your membership after your free trial ends, we will send you a Cupixel device stand for free. So go ahead and grab a tall cup or just something tall that you can elevate and place your phone on. We have some watercolor paper in card sized. This is a cold pressed watercolor paper, so it's nice and smooth but durable. And I'm working on a 5x7-inch card, just so you all can see better, but you can do 4x6 or 5x7. It's totally up to you. In addition, we have a pencil for tracing. We have some erasers. I have a kneaded eraser and a regular eraser. I have some watercolor markers by Faber-Castell, which includes this colorless blender marker. And I also have a Waterbrush pen because we're going to be kind of treating these like a coloring tool, and we're going to kind of transform them into watercolor, either with the blender or the brush pen. I also have some PITT artist pens, also from Faber-Castell. I have a brush tip that I will use for the lettering. And then I have a fine tip and one that's a little bit bigger if I want to add any more detail. I also have some gel pens, Uni-Glow, I believe, Uni-Ball. And we have them in silver, gold, and white. These are just to add some nice accents. And last but not least, I have a scrap paper to test my colors. I'll show you a way that you can actually use these markers as like a watercolor paint, and you can just use a paper for that. I also have a ruler to, measure anything or make sure stuff is nice and straight. Because I'm going to start tracing with this cup, this will all make sense in a second. I'm actually just going to measure the halfway point of my paper. So I know long way is 7 inches. So I will mark somewhere in the center where it's at 3.5. And this is just to help me know where the center of my paper is when I move on to tracing, which I'm going to do right now. But I will repeat anything if need be. I also have Shirley here with me on the chat. If you have any questions, you can put them in there. If you have any questions for me, she can reiterate them to me. But anything you need, Shirley should be able to help you out with. I'm going to take a second, have a sip of water. Nick, how are we doing?
We're good. We're good.
I'm also joined by Nick on the cameras, so they might be chiming in here and there. All right, I think we can dive in. So can you see my phone, Nick? All right, so Wait, did you see this already? Did I hold this up? I'm sorry. So if you open the app, you'll see the main feed. This is what we're seeing right now. At the bottom of the screen, you will see 5 icons. We're going to be working with the middle icon, the My Studio icon. So really quick, actually, before we dive in, I want to just introduce you to what Cupixel is. We are an art content app that combines the tracing technology that we're going to explore today with artist-led instruction, like you're getting here in real time. We go live twice a week on the app, and we also have hundreds, thousands actually, on-demand classes, artist-led tutorials. So there is something for absolutely everybody. But lucky you, you get me in real time today. So we're just going to be using My Studio. So that plus sign icon in the center bottom of your screen, let's tap that. And now you'll see 3 tabs at the top here: gallery, photo, and text. So something that you can explore when you sign up for the free trial is uploading a photo, tracing a photo, and creating your own text design. But if you go to the gallery, you'll see that I have everything that you'll need for this experience here in the gallery that you can explore completely for free. So we have some nice, grateful, thankful, blessed text that we can use. We have some gourds, some pumpkins, some falling leaves, some beautiful botanical borders if you scroll down. So there is something for everyone. You can really personalize your card by kind of mixing and matching different artworks that we have in the gallery. If you'll scroll down, you'll see that we have like a poinsettia and a present that you can definitely use if you want to jump right into the holiday card making. But like I said, everything that I'm going to show you, you can apply to making a holiday themed card. So I'm going to get started, and I'm, excuse me, I'm just going to go ahead and tap grateful. But I want to show you that if you go to text, again, this is something you can explore after this. You can customize the message that you want. So again, if you want to jump into holiday card making, you can write, happy holidays, joy to the world, merry, merry, whatever it is you'd like to say on your card. And you can tap through the different fonts and designs to really personalize it. But to keep things simple, let's just dive in with this first text. I have that selected. I see that green check mark, so I know I'm good to start. So then we go to the camera. Now, my phone has Smart Trace on. I will show you Smart Trace in a moment, but since I am not working with the device stand right now, I just have my phone placed right on top of this cup. I'm going to turn Smart Trace off, and I don't know if you can see, immediately you get just a simple parallel projection. So if I bring my paper in closer, then you can see it on my paper. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap the drag icon, and I'm going to push this up to the center of the paper where I marked it. Make sure that that purple border is aligned to my paper. So I don't want anything, crooked like this, and trace it like that. Make sure the border of the paper is parallel to the border of the frame that you're seeing here. So now I'm going to tap drag again, and I'm actually going to shrink this quite a bit just by pinching in on the screen. And then again, I will just kind of make sure that everything is straight to my liking, and that looks good. So you can tap drag again or wait for drag to kind of time out like I just did. And from here, we can pinch the screen to zoom in, and we can start tracing. So what we're working with, like I said, is Smart Trace off. So we're just getting a flat projection. The thing about Smart Trace, and by the way, you don't have to make it super perfect, just follow the lines that you're seeing and don't worry about any mistakes. You can clean them up later if you'd like, but I'm just kind of letting these mistakes, for lack of a better word, happen. It adds character. What was I saying? Smart Trace. We'll explore Smart Trace in a moment with the device stand that is compatible for the Smart Trace technology. The thing about Smart Trace versus Smart Trace off, right, is that Smart Trace does a few things rather than just kind of project the artwork on your paper for you to trace. It actually finds your paper. It detects your paper by searching for four corners, and it tracks your paper. So if anything moves, like if you bump your paper, if you bump your phone or the device stand, it will just realign as long as all four corners of your paper are still in frame. And it also makes the proportions of the image fit to the size of your paper or your drawing surface. So you don't have to worry about, measuring or anything like that. So it matches the angle of your phone on the stand. And I'll show you that in just a second. Just slowly tracing this text. And I have a lot of lines here and there that I want to erase afterwards. You can apply more pressure if you have a kneaded eraser because it picks up that extra pigment from the pencil.
Can you talk about looking at the camera and not looking at your slide?
Yes. So Shirley asked me to talk about looking at the screen rather than kind of peeking behind. So at this point, I mean, using the tracing technology is just second nature to me. So it feels natural to just kind of look at my screen and pretend like I'm just looking at my paper and tracing that way. Be patient with yourself, give yourself a little bit of grace if you find yourself kind of like peeking behind. Try to not let yourself at first. It's an adjustment. It's a little, I'm sure it's a little uncomfortable at first. Like I said, at this point, second nature to me. I do it so often, but you're going to want to peek behind your phone. That's okay. Just try to look through your screen. And if you ever want to see your progress, you can bring that transparency bar down. The only thing is I'm going to have to just realign the text to everything I just traced, because again, we have Smart Trace off. So we're just getting a simple projection. So if anything kind of budges while you're working with Smart Trace off, you can use drag again, or you can just move your phone to line it back up to where you were. Oh, I was done anyways. All right. So now that I have my text traced, I am going to go back to the artwork tab, and I am going to kind of add some fall elements around my card. I'm going to decorate it with some fall imagery. So I'm going to go back to the gallery, and as you can see, we have a ton of different, fall themed artworks that you can use, some falling leaves, some botanical borders and frames, pumpkins, gourds, all that good stuff. What I really like to do is use the drag feature to really kind of customize with just one artwork. So I'm going to use these gourds here. So again, we see that green check mark. I'm going to actually move to the device stand. Nick, is this okay? All right. And again, I see that green check mark, so I'm good to head to trace. Now, again, oh, that's weird. Yeah, Smart Trace is off. So we're going to actually turn Smart Trace on by tapping that icon at the top left. Smart Trace on. If it turns green, you know that it's on. And what just happened was the app detected my paper because all four corners of my paper are in frame. And there is a dark background to create a contrast that allows the phone to recognize the paper. So if I were to get rid of this black mat and I were to just have this paper on my white table, the app might have some trouble finding the four corners because it's just kind of blending into the table. So that's why we have this dark mat. And as you can see, if you move the paper, as long as all four corners are still in frame, it will just realign. And like I said, it's kind of, I kind of tilt the stand, the proportions and the angle matches my phone just by searching for these four corners. So it's really cool. I think you have a lot more room for, customization and lack of stress when tracing with Smart Trace. So what I'm going to do, I'm just bringing this all the way down for a second. I have the grateful in the center, and I have all of this negative space on the top and the bottom of my card. So with all of these gourds, I am actually going to use the drag feature to kind of place them in different areas of the card. So I'm going to bring this down to about halfway, tap drag, and mentally I'm just going to zero in on one pumpkin or one gourd at a time. And I'm going to kind of find the place on my paper that I want to place the first one. And I think I'll just start with this gourd at the bottom left, right underneath the grateful. So zooming in, focusing on this one pumpkin or gourd, ignoring everything else. I'm going to grab my pencil again and start tracing. So these designs, everything that you're seeing, everything that we're working with in the gallery will be available on the My Studio for the next few weeks. So if you're not creating with us today in real time, you can find it just by going back to My Studio, and I'll show you how to do that again after we finish tracing. So I got my first gourd down on my paper, and now I'm going to zoom back out. I'm going to tap drag again, and I'm going to move on to another area. I think I just want to kind of fill in some of this negative space at the bottom right. So I'm going to focus in on this, I believe it's a squash. I'm going to make this one a little bit bigger. Play around with various sizes and angles. Again, ignoring all those other gourds, mentally zeroing in on this one, tracing it where it is on the paper. So if you wanted to dive into making a holiday card, you want to skip the Thanksgiving themed card, what I'm doing here, this kind of technique of dragging and dropping different gourds along the surface of the paper, you can do this with like gifts or presents, Santa hats, poinsettia flowers, to build like the same kind of composition that I'm doing here, just with different imagery. So now that that one's traced, I'm going to zoom out again, tap drag, and I'm going to do this wide pumpkin down here. And the size of it, I'm going to keep as is, tap drag again, zoom in, and trace. And after this one, I'll kind of switch gears and move to the top of the paper. Make sure that everything is balanced out, thinking about, the composition of the card as I go along. All right. Drag. Let's do that one right up there. Again, I'm going to zoom in. Actually, I think I'm going to make this one kind of, a little crooked. I also think that this artwork works so well for, like seasonal home decor or wall art. I actually did something very similar, using all these gourds and kind of placing them around my paper on a much larger scale, and had, like Hello Fall, I think it was in the center. So it works really well as like wall art or, seasonal decor. So if you wanted to try it on a larger scale, you absolutely can. The technique and the approach will be the exact same. All right, I'm thinking of placing this one over here, making it a little bit smaller. I'm curious what everyone's Thanksgiving plans are. And I always love to ask what your favorite Thanksgiving dish is. I'll go first, green bean casserole. Nick agrees.
Yeah, that's super solid. Definitely mashed potatoes gravy
Classic.
and ham. I don't really eat ham, but I'll eat it on Thanksgiving.
Me too, but my family doesn't make ham for Thanksgiving, but we do for Christmas. We celebrate Christmas.
Yep.
And my mom will make a small turkey and a big old ham for Christmas. That I'm
Yeah.
excited for. I don't eat ham at all throughout the
Yeah,
year.
ever. Me
But
neither.
Christmas, I'm going in. But yeah, green bean casserole, that is my favorite. I'm just taking a second. But curious, let us know in the chat what your favorite Thanksgiving dish is.
I was literally just gonna say that. And you know what? Controversial hot take on it. I like the cranberry sauce from the can.
Oh, so do I.
It's completely different.
So I don't know if you guys heard, Shirley said that Heather said that cranberry sauce. It's all about the cranberry sauce, and Nick is inclined to agree. He thinks, well, you're on a mic, right,
Yeah,
Nick?
yeah,
Okay. So I don't have to repeat what Nick said. I love a cranberry sauce. I really do. Oh my God, I'm getting hungry now. I'm
I
getting
know.
excited. Stuffing. Kathy says pumpkin pie.
Val says cranberry and stuffing.
Oh my goodness. Like cranberry in the stuffing and stuffing. But what about cranberry with stuffing? Or
Yeah, I think
stuffing
that's-
with cranberry, rather.
That's the thing too, is that like all this stuff just like mixed together on a plate is just
It worked
a whole
so
other-
well.
Yeah.
Ugh, I'm getting so hungry. All right, let's keep going. Thank you guys for letting me know. Thank you guys for making my mouth water. All right, so just at this point, I can kind of peek behind, right? Because I'm not tracing, I'm just taking a look at the composition. So I definitely want to add something kind of like up here. And then I'm thinking that we'll kind of go back and we'll shrink a lot of these gourds and we'll fill in some of that negative space with just a couple more teeny tiny ones. But the idea is kind of just making like a perfectly imperfect composition, like something that's balanced but completely imbalanced. I hope that makes sense. If it were to look super structured, like if you had like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, it wouldn't be as appealing to the eye, I think. So let's just keep going. I'm going to do another squash up here. I think I'll do that one right in the center. Make this one a little bit bigger. Actually, I want to make it a little bit smaller because I don't want it to completely line up with these two. So drag, pinch to zoom in,
So if you
trace.
know that there are a few more who said cranberry and stuffing, but there's one who said mashed potatoes.
So we had a couple more answers in the chat, a lot of cranberry and stuffing votes. They're in the lead right now, cranberry and stuffing. And sorry, someone said mashed potatoes?
I think, mashed potatoes.
Mashed potatoes. I mean, it's a classic. You can't mess with the classic.
Yeah, I think it's all the whole thing is built on mashed potatoes.
It really is.
It's so foundational.
The turkey came after.
Yeah.
What came first, the turkey or the mashed potatoes? You know, that classic saying. And it was the mashed potatoes for sure.
Green bean casserole.
Yes.
Claudia.
I only had that
Claudia
for the
green
first time
casserole.
like a couple of years ago, and I'm like, what? Where has this been? Like
You've only had green bean casserole a couple years ago,
for the
you said?
first time, yeah.
Oh man, that was green bean casserole is a dish. It's so interesting as you get older, your taste buds just completely change. Like your taste in food
Definitely.
completely changes.
Like if I had heard that as a kid, I'd be like, ew, green bean
Yeah.
casserole.
Oh my gosh, my mom would make it as far as I can remember. I think she's always made green bean casserole for every holiday side dish. It just hits different on Thanksgiving, you know? But I would never eat it, you know, just like, ew, ew, you know, vegetables, mushrooms, like I just couldn't do it. And mashed potatoes is where it's at for me. But now it's like switched. It's like I get like maybe a dollop of mashed potatoes and I just save the rest of the room on my plate for the green bean casserole. I'm gonna text my mom and see if she can make that for me this weekend. I can't wait.
Yeah, like
I
a
can't
nap
wait.
tonight, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. Cancel my plans. Going to my mom's house. All right. So I definitely want to move back down here, add just a couple more really teeny tiny gourds. So I'm just going to really shrink these here.
So you know it's
Mhm.
220.
It is 229. Okay, we are making good time. Add a couple more and then we'll get into coloring. Do a little bit of fake watercolor, a little bit of fake calligraphy, for lack of a better word. And I will guide you through using these tools, my approach to working with them. I've been obsessed with these markers lately, so I'm excited to dive into those. But I'm going to add that really tiny one, wide and tiny pumpkin up here. All right, and I think I need one over there. The rest of the negative space, I think I will fill with some free-handed leaves, or some little sparkles like I have here, really brighten it up. So Nick, if it's all right with you, I'm just going to move this out of the way. But just to kind of reiterate to everyone, if you joined late, how I got to this point, go back to the artwork tab and I'll actually just exit right out. So if we go, oh, check this out. No, I don't want to delete it. Every single time you use Smart Trace, the app will automatically generate a time-lapse video of your creation, and you can find all of those again on the main feed. So if we go back to the main feed, this is what you see when you open the app. Where we were just working was My Studio. So My Studio is where you can just dive into creating using the tracing technology on your own. So it's technically like, you know, free solo creating. Everything else on this app is like an artist-led experience where we create together, we guide you through a creation. But if we want to just dive into creating with the tracing technology, we go to My Studio. We see these 3 tabs at the top. Everything that we just traced, we got from the gallery. So everything here that you'll see, we will have up for the next few weeks. So again, if you don't create alongside with us today in real time, you will have access to these just by going to My Studio. Good. All right. So place that over here. Nick, I'm going to just bring this a little bit closer. Before I dive into coloring, I'm just going to grab my kneaded eraser. I love a kneaded eraser, especially before I go in with any watercolor. I like to just kind of roll it up in a ball, just go over absolutely everything. And it doesn't erase everything completely. It just kind of softens the lines, lightens them up a bit. So you don't have any extra, graphite that's going to smudge with your watercolor as you're, blending or applying water. But before I even dive into using these markers here, let me just tell you, I'm going to use these to add color to all the different gourds, but I'm going to use these to do the text. And the text is what I'm going to start with first, because it's in the center. And, I want to give this, yes, this is a kneaded eraser. You need one. Sorry, I always say that joke and it just never hits. Yeah, I like to just kind of like roll it up in a ball and just kind of go over the paper. And then I'm taking my regular eraser and just kind of cleaning up any areas that were, for lack of a better word, mistakes. But like I said, I'm going to start with the text. I'm going to grab my bold PITT Artist pen in black. This is just not bold. B is for brush. This is a little brush tip. I'm going to use this for the text because I'm going to go in with watercolor everywhere else. I don't want to have to, smudge or wait for that to dry to go back into the text. So let's just start right here in the center. And I'm going to use a very light hand and just the tip of the brush for those thin lines. But then, and this is like a little lettering hack that I always like to share, on your downstrokes, you can use the side of the brush tip to create something, or a thicker line rather, because with calligraphy, lettering, that's kind of like the rule of thumb. Your upstrokes are thin, your downstrokes are thick. And notice I'm not, keeping it consistent. I'm not like treating it like it's actual cursive or calligraphy. I'm lifting up my pen. I'm going back in and fixing areas. So just take your time with it. And this is a tool that you might find, you might practice a little bit with it. So if you wanted to, you can grab a scrap paper, just kind of practice on going up and down, up, down, up, down. Just practice your control. But let's keep going. All right. Now I'm going to grab my gold, and this is totally optional, but I love using a little bit of like a metallic to kind of make the text pop a little bit. So this is like my creative tip or hack, I guess, for you. Going back in, I'm just going to be careful not to rest my hand on anything I just worked on, just in case it smudges. But I'm going to pick like one side, right? One side of each letter to kind of enhance with the line. So I'm going to go with the left side or sorry, actually it'd be the right side that I'm going to go with. And so if you see this thick downstroke, I'm actually going to go to the right of it with a little bit of gold. And then even this little loop here, the inside of that, little gold to the right of it. The right of this edge here, a little bit of gold. Right of this R, A. So as you can see, it's consistent. Like I'm not outlining the text with the gold. I'm just kind of lining the right side of each letter. There we go. Just a very subtle way to kind of make your text pop. So now I'm going to go in and add some color to my gourds, but really quick, something that you can do if you want to fill some more negative space. You can sketch it out with your pencil first, just to, have the assurance that you can erase if you wanted to, but I'm going to add like a leaf right here. And what I'm going to do is just do kind of like a little teardrop shape. And then add a little stem. Another one over here. Maybe I'll make this one rounded. Let them be doodles. Have fun with it. Over here, I actually think I'll add like a couple little leaves. Up here, thinking another basic teardrop leaf. Another rounded leaf. And maybe over here, just another little teardrop one. And again, they're kind of just falling in different angles. They're in various sizes. And now I'm just adding some little sparkles. So just curved kind of triangle, and then an upside down curved triangle. And it's okay to have more negative space than I have on my paper here. Actually think I could fill this with a larger sparkle. All right. Now let's use the kneaded eraser once more, and then we'll get into adding some color. All right. So this is the fun and easy part. It's pretty quick from here on out. I have a huge variety of colors with these markers here, but I kind of separated the colors that I think are great for fall. And I'm just going to be using a variety of these, kind of mixing and matching the colors throughout. So same way how we kind of like built a composition with these different gourds, we'll kind of keep it balanced with color as well. So for example, if I make this pumpkin orange, I don't want to make this one orange. Maybe I'll make it green. And then, one orange pumpkin down here, one up there, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to start with this dark chrome yellow. You have a brush tip side and a fine tip side. I'm going to start with the fine tip side, and I'm just going to quite literally outline everything. The stems I will fill in later on with just the black PITT artist pen. Then I'll kind of add a little bit of extra color at the top and bottom of the grooves. And if we want to get technical, you can imagine that every gourd on our paper, the light is kind of coming from our perspective, our point of view. So I'm adding a little bit more color in those grooves that are, towards the sides, and less color in the grooves that are in the center. So now I'm going to I'll show you how to work with the colorless blender. It's quite simple. I like to just kind of clean off the blender on a scrap paper and then just go in and with a light hand, just kind of move that color around. And then with this groove here in the center, maybe I won't color it in all the way, kind of treat that like it's like a little highlight. And then I'll clean the blender again. All right, now I'm going to move on to this pumpkin. And because I just used this yellow color, thinking maybe we can use a green. So I have right here May green, which is a very warm kind of like olivey green. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to outline. Then I'm going to blend, except this time, add a little bit more color to the outside grooves. This time I'll use the Waterbrush pen. So it's not going to make a different effect. It's just another method of blending the color around. So if you have like just water-based markers, but you don't have this specific set of water-based markers, and you don't have like a colorless blender with them, you can use something like this.
It's just a regular brush.
Yeah, you absolutely can just use a regular watercolor paintbrush and a cup of water, dip into that. I really like the Waterbrush pens for this kind of technique because the brush really just kind of stays damp as long as you don't squeeze the barrel of it too much. You can clean the brush by squeezing the barrel and wiping it on a paper towel, but the water kind of just keeps the brush saturated without having too much water on it. That's kind of like dripping down and really oversaturating your paper. So it's just a bit more neat and contained with a Waterbrush pen. Actually, I wanted to show you something you can do with this technique. So after you blended out the color in one pumpkin, you can actually go back into another one and create more of a, almost like I would say realistic kind of look by adding in like a blend of colors into each pumpkin. But this is also something that you can do at the very end. So to keep it simple and straightforward for right now, I'll stick to one color for each pumpkin. So I think with the balance, I could do an orange one here and like a yellow ochre right here. So I'm going to grab green gold and again, same thing, outline. Actually, let's see what happens if we add two colors to one. So I lied. If I were to grab this green, this May green.
What markers are you using?
These are, the markers I'm using are the Faber-Castell, I'm going to butcher this, Albrecht Durer watercolor markers. And this is the set of 24, I believe. They're really, really great. They have dual tip, brush and fine tip. You can treat them like regular markers, or you can treat them like watercolor, like I am here. So now I'm kind of just mixing these two colors together that I laid down, the green gold and the May green. And kind of mixing them together, letting the water kind of activate the colors and kind of blend together to create a new color. Then maybe I'll bring some of this color back into this green pumpkin. And then maybe later I'll add a darker green to this pumpkin to make it, pop next to this one so they're not too close in color. Go in with actually, I think I'm going in with like a scarlet red. I'll do orange and scarlet red. So even if you do just a little bit of one color, mix in a little bit of one color to another color, you can still create enough variety in your colors. So you don't need so many, right? You can work with just a few kind of do like a mix and match throughout. Just adding a little bit of this scarlet red to the bottom of the grooves. Kind of enhance like a shadow there, maybe. It's a darker color than the orange. By the way, we have quite a few recent live experiences that you can find on demand on the app that focuses on card making. So very similar to what we're doing today. So of course you can use, you can create on your own by using My Studio, just going to that plus sign icon. But you could also, if you need a refresher or you prefer to create, with the guidance, you can find replays of those live experiences. We have very similar, we create a very similar card for that. And even some wall art. So like I said, you can apply the same technique to create both, just depends on the size that you're working on. So just wanted to shout that out. You can always find this kind of approach, or excuse me, the tutorial for this kind of experience on the app if you want more of a refresher. So now that that's done, I'm actually going to flip my paper upside down. So I'm not resting my hand on any wet color. And I'm just going to work on these gourds up here. Then I will get into adding some color to the surrounding areas and we will finish up. So we will close out in, I believe, about 10 minutes, right? So just know that if things aren't complete, don't rush. The technique that we're doing is very repetitive. So you can just keep going on your own. And again, you can find those experiences in the app, those live replay experiences. I'm gonna grab this dark yellow chrome again. I actually think I'll grab the green gold with it as well. And I will add first the green gold to this one. Sorry?
Pretty and easy.
Pretty and easy, or pretty easy. Patrick said that this looks pretty and easy. Thank you, Patrick. It is easy. And it's easy to make something very pretty. I think this kind of tool and this technique that I'm using, so these watercolor markers and the brush pen, the water brush pen, it's actually a really great approach or really great introduction to watercolor. If that is a medium that you want to get into, but it can be very intimidating painting with watercolor paints. I think it's so interesting how watercolor paints are really like the first art tool we all get as children. But it's, if you ask me, one of the more difficult mediums, especially when it comes to trying to control, keep everything contained. Again, I'm just thinking about like the balance of colors throughout. Go in with a little bit of this darker green on this pumpkin. I prefer using the water brush personally. Anytime I feel like I kind of went in with a little too much color and my brush is picking up a lot of pigment, I will kind of just use my paper towel to get that extra pigment off my brush so that I could go back to painting without, having too much color in one area. You could also kind of pick it up and go to different areas of the pumpkin. But what I do is I really kind of just like work with the brush or the blender first in the area where I place the color, and then kind of introduce it to the areas I left blank to kind of just fill in that negative space without oversaturating areas that I want to appear lighter. So it kind of helps create like dimension, even in something as simple as this. I'm going to use the orange for this one here. Again, maybe a little bit of the scarlet red. And then I will, instead of kind of filling in these last two ones, I'll show you what I'm going to do for the remainder of the imagery I have on my paper. Another thing that I want to tell you about, let you guys know, is that you can share your artwork with us on what we call spaces in the app. Even on the My Studio tab, you have the option to share your creation, but in every experience, you'll see the tabs at the bottom of the screen. Spaces will be the one on the far right. That's where you can take a picture of your artwork and share it with everybody, share it with the community, or even your time-lapse videos. So remember, after we traced, the app generated a time-lapse video, you can share those to spaces as well. So if you created with me today on the app, I would love to see what you made, how your card turned out. So please feel free to share on spaces in the My Studio tab, and any other experiences that you join me for in the future, on demand or live. Share what you created. I love to see, of course, I'd love to see everyone's creations, but what I really love is seeing how everyone kind of follows the same steps, but ends up with something just so different and unique. It's my favorite part. And connect with other people that are using the app. It's really fun. If I do say so myself, we have a lovely, lovely community of creators here. So I'm going to work on the bottom half. I want to keep everyone's time in mind, just filling in or adding the color to these areas down here. So what I'm going to do is I will use my markers, the same watercolor markers, to add some color to these leaves. Again, thinking about the balance of the color. And then I'll go in with my black fine PITT Artist pen to enhance the lines, fill in the stems. And last but not least, we'll use some gold or metallic gel pen to add color to our sparkles. So I think I will use just this orange color to add to this leaf here. And then I'll use the colorless blender. Something simple. I think I'll mix it up and I'll grab a darker red color here. Colorless blender. And again, even if I wanted to take some of this color here, that's still on my blender, introduce it to this leaf, I can. Then I think I'll use this brown, dark sepia. Add color to this one. And just another thing I want to point out before we close is that as you're exploring the app and exploring everything on the app with your free trial, if you have any questions or any difficulty, we have a 24-hour support team, live, real people. If you tap the question mark icon at the top right of your screen on the Cupixel app, you can find that there. And we can help you through.
Stem, show one stem maybe.
Hmm?
Gourd, one stem.
Yeah, no, I'm going to do that right now. Yes. So now I have my black PITT artist pen. What I'm going to do is, this is totally optional, outlining the pumpkin yet again. If you wanted to create something a little bit more like 2D, kind of more of like a doodle illustration kind of vibe, that's what I like personally. But you could also just use it to fill in the stem. So just kind of outlining it and then coloring it in with the fine point PITT artist pen. So I'll finish up at this bottom half and then we'll close out, and then I'll make sure to share my finished card to Spaces if you guys want to see it. And again, I'd love to see yours. I'll use it for the leaves as well.
Which pen are you using for the outline?
This is the Faber-Castell black fine point PITT artist pen. So the PITT artist pens come in various colors and various sizes, applicators rather. This one is the F, the fine point, and we're just using the color black. And now, last but not least, I am going to grab my gold metallic gel pen, and I'm just going to add some color to these sparkles to really make everything pop, tie the artwork together with the text, nice and cohesive. You could actually add color to these sparkles if you'd prefer, make it more colorful. But I love the gold. I have to do the gold. All right, so like I said, I will add, just apply the same steps and techniques to filling in the rest of my imagery at the top half, but more or less, I'll show you, this is something that we will end up with. So I applied the same exact techniques to creating this, just with a different text in the center. This text you can find in the gallery as well. But like I said, I'll make sure to share with you. And then last but not least, another thing that you can do, if you have the white gel pen, you can add little highlights to your gourds, just picking that groove in the center, kind of shading it in with some white, and then kind of softening it with your finger. Totally optional, but it's the little things, the little details that really can take your artwork to the next level, whether it is a card or wall art that you're making. And again, at any time of the year, if you want to just dive right into the holiday card making, you can apply the same technique and approach to using different holiday imagery. Like I said, we have the poinsettia flowers and the gift in the My Studio gallery tab as well. So you can use those. Or like I said, use everything that we use today. they will be available in my studio for the next couple of weeks. So as you explore your free trial, you will have access to everything that we use today. So I think if we are good, we don't have any more questions, Shirley. All right. Thank you everyone so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed exploring Cupixel and creating our card. I know I did. I had a lot of fun. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Thanks again. And hopefully we'll see you soon. Bye.